Mark Fredericks. And this is an application by the New Minas Baptist Church to change the zoning for the church property from mixed commercial residential zone to the institutional zone, which was what it was before the new MPS came into effect. And good morning also to the people who may be listening online now or well over the next couple of weeks have opportunity to look at this recording and get back to staff with any information or comments or questions they may have. So welcome all, and as Councillor for the district, which is District 8, I'm hosting the meeting, and I'm hosting a virtual public information meeting today, which is the first time we've done this, but it's a way for our county to, as best it can, allow business interests to carry forward under the very restrictive rules of the COVID declaration of what is it called? Anyway, under the restricted environment that we're living in. So we will carry forward. At this point in time, planning staff will take opportunity today. They have not, no decisions has been made. This is this is very early in the application. An application has been made, and staff is going to present the essence of what the proposal is, the policies that affect it, and the proponent, represented by John Merrill, will make comments as to what they would like to see happen here, and then we will carry on. It's important to note that at this point in time, no evaluation has been made, so this is not about putting forward opinions. No decisions have been made either. So the objective is to allow neighbors and interested parties to make representations before staff completes their analysis and makes decisions, and that input becomes part of that process. So as I mentioned, Mark Fredericks is our planner from the county, and John Merrill is representing the applicant, New Minas Baptist Church. So with that, I will ask Mark to come in and take us through his presentation.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jim. Everybody seeing this slide here?
You bet.
Okay. So yeah, we've got an application from the New Minas Baptist Church who have requested to rezone the property where the church is in New Minas at 9453 Commercial Street from the mixed commercial residential zone back to the institutional zone. So the institutional zone will allow them to replace the existing road signage here with a new digital display. Again, the purpose of this meeting is to inform the public, explain the planning policies, and receive some preliminary feedback from the neighborhood. And we have not made any decisions at this point. Again, we're looking to rezone the property that the New Minas Baptist Church lies on back to the institutional zone, which will permit the installation of a digital sign. We're located in New Minas, which is a growth center within Kings County, shown here in this red circle. When we zoom in, we look at, this is the subject property here, shown in hatching. This property is kind of surrounded by the Lockhart Ryan Park, the Louis Millet Center, and across the street is the Kenwo Golf Course. It's currently zoned mixed commercial residential, which is kind of a mixed use zone. Allows for some light commercial, some institutional uses, and some residential uses. It went into this zone during the recent planning review process because places of worship were kind of were allowed to go in any zone, but there were some pros and cons with that. So So now we find ourselves in a situation where the signage requirements are a little bit different in this C3 or mixed commercial residential zone, and don't quite allow the church to install what the type of sign that they're looking to replace their existing one with. This is an aerial view of that property. This is the church, quite a large building. I believe it's sort of been added onto over the years. The Louis Millet Center community complex next door. Again, across the street is the Kenwo Golf Course. So rezoning applications need to be enabled within the municipal planning strategy. And in this case, the municipal planning strategy does allow for this type of rezoning. It's a fairly broad policy here. Essentially, it allows for council to consider rezoning applications to rezone land to any other zone that's enabled within the same designation, which is kind of planning talk for the designation is kind of group, where a group of zones can be permitted, and the institutional zone is one of these zones that can kind of float between designations. So our new planning strategy allows for properties to be considered to go into the institutional zone, whether they're in a commercial designation or a residential designation or otherwise. When council considers any type of rezoning, though, we review a set of general criteria. These are outlined in the municipal planning strategy. These criteria include questions like whether the proposal is in keeping with the intent of the municipal planning strategy. We look at things like the financial impact on the municipality, feasibility of services, potential for land use conflict, potential impact on well fields, and site suitability. Where this is an established church, it's been here for many years. Many of these things should be fairly straightforward to confirm, but we will review these types of criteria in a full report that will be considered. And in terms of that future process, we are here. This is a fairly early step, the public information meeting. We'll do the staff review where we review the proposal against those criteria. And then in New Minas has an area advisory committee, so we will bring a staff report to that committee, who makes a recommendation to the Kings County Planning Advisory Committee, who then forwards it on to council for their approval process. Council's approval process takes a couple of months, and there is a 14-day appeal period following their final decision. The properties within 500 feet of this property will be notified both for access to this public information meeting recording, and those same properties will be notified with regards to a future public hearing if we get to that step. And the public hearing is also advertised in the local newspaper to satisfy Municipal Government Act regulations. So that's the process. This is a slide where you can capture my phone number, email address, and the municipal webpage where this recording will be saved, and other information will be accessible for planning applications. So if you have any comments or questions, you can certainly reach out to me by phone or email. We'll have this available for at least 30 days. And with that, I'll pass it back to Councillor Windsor.
Okay, and before I go to John here, there's no one at all on the system to ask a question now, right? I just want to clarify that.
That's correct.
Okay, so I will ask a couple of questions. First, the phone number that you've provided here, Mark, on the screen, is this a cell number?
That is the office phone number, but it can be I can be reached at that number though.
Do you? Okay, I'm just wondering. Well, I had a question earlier about office numbers being forwarded to cell numbers, where the county supports a staff cell phone, just in the interest of connecting with people. But you're saying this number is checked regularly? Is that what you're saying for?
Yep, that's right. If there's any messages left on that number, they go directly into my email inbox. Some staff do have county cell phones, but I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those few.
Okay.
So this is a fair number to reach me at, and if I'm not able to answer the phone at that time, any messages, recorded messages, will reach me in my email inbox.
Thanks, Mark. I just want to clarify that. And this is a question on the zoning of the park right now around the area. That's zoned. Is it parkland or is it? What would it be?
It's also institutional. So.
Oh, the parkland is all zoned institutional as well?
That's correct, yeah. Now the golf course across the street is in a kind of commercial recreation parkland zone.
Oh, okay.
The Lockhart Ryan Park is institutional. So this would just sort of be grouped into that larger institutional zone.
Okay, and the nature of sign that would be going in, would that be similar to what the Louis Millet Center has placed at the front, at the street side there?
That's my understanding, although I think John can probably clarify the size and type. Yeah.
But then maybe we'll go to John and let John have his time to share with us then. John, okay. Go ahead then.
Okay, thanks. Hello, everyone. My name's John Merrill. I'm representing the New Minas Baptist Church. As we said, we're applying to rezone property back to institutional. Earlier in the year, some rezoning changes were done, and what happened was we were rezoned to C3. And the reason we like to change it, as we've said, we'd like to put up a new sign. We had a sign there for a number of years. It was an internally lit sign. Basically, it's kind of a box with a glass front and lighting and a board that could be manually changed. In the hurricane back in the fall, the sign came down, and we were sort of in the property board in discussions as to what we were going to do to replace it, whether we'd put up something similar or perhaps go to a digital sign. We hadn't actually decided yet what exactly we're doing. The digital sign's a little more expensive, but we're kind of leaning that way. When we were in discussion with this, someone from the church suggested that we go to the county and inquire as to whether there might be any additional concerns for putting up a digital sign. So I did this back in January, February sometime, and that's when I discovered that the zoning was going to be changed, and the new zoning doesn't allow for internally lit signage. So I asked what options we had, and it was told that we could apply to rezone back to institutional. So this is the primary reason why we want to be rezoned. We haven't really come up with any other conflicts or anything. Why one zone would be better than the other, but this is our reasoning right now. As for what we're putting up, we haven't really established yet what it's going to be. We've looked at some signs. Basically, we've just kind of gotten quotes on signs. I'm not sure exactly what the sign would look like. It would be something similar, I think, to what the Louis Millet Center has. It wouldn't be a great big humongous thing or anything like that. The sign we had up before, I think, was roughly 3 or 4 feet wide and 7 or 8 feet high, kind of thing. I imagine the digital sign would be that big. Anyway, yeah, so that's basically why we're here today, to apply for this rezoning. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, John. And just a question back to Mark, I expect. Mark, there'd still be limitations in our bylaws on how big that sign would be and generally what it would have to conform to?
Yes, that's right. So both the current C3 zone and the proposed institutional zone have sign requirements in terms of square footage, and we'll review that and put that into context within the staff report.
Okay, and does it Does our bylaws speak to any lighting specifications also? Or?
It does, and that's primarily where this issue came from, is that the C3 zone does not allow for internally lit or kind of digital signage, but the institutional zone does, and so that's the main difference between these two zones.
Okay, and so I'll just refer into how public comments and questions can be handled through this new process. And given that the presentation is being recorded and posted to the website, members of the public will have 30 days to view the posted presentation and provide questions and comments to the planner, which will be included as part of the report to the Planning Advisory Committee. And just a question on that, 30 days, is that like, is this lengthening out the process a little bit, this new process?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it probably is, yeah, a little bit. But given the situation, this is what the municipality established as a go-forward plan. But yeah, it could be considered to be adding a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, we're still able to begin that kind of analysis and
right.
Start the report process.
Yeah. And so if the public has questions and comments at all, it would be great to either to email them and to use their names and civic address, because that's relative to the analyses, whether you're living in the area and impacted or not. And of course, Mark will provide his, well, it's provided on the screen, his phone number as well, if you wish to chat in person or wish to deliver your comments and questions through a personal conversation. So, Mark, I don't think there's anything else, is there?
I think that's it.
Yeah, so, with that, thank you, Mark, and thank you, John. And then I'll declare the meeting adjourned.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Well, thanks again, and it was good. This is a new way to do business, so we'll get it polished up.